Grant, O God, that because we have met together here today, life may grow greater for some who have lost faith in it, simpler for those who are confused by it, more secure for some who would escape it, happier for some who may be tasting the bitterness of it, safer for some who are feeling the peril of it, more friendly for some who are feeling the loneliness of it, and holier for some to whom life may have lost its dignity, its beauty, and its meaning. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Some Sundays we come to church and it's obvious, even by the collect. So the collect, that first prayer that is prayed by the presider, it is to collect kind of the thoughts, the theme for the day, to give us the theme for today. And so then the lessons, including the psalm through the gospel, those lessons will fit together in such a way. And as I said, some days we get to church and it's really super obvious. Some days it's not, like today, right? I mean, what in the world does David, Bathsheba, and Uriah and that just despicable story have to do with the feeding of the multitudes? Well, in the gospel lesson, it does say that Jesus then withdrew and kind of was getting away because they were coming to take him, for he knew that they wanted to make him a king. So we have a model of kingly behavior in Jesus, and certainly not wanting to take the mantle of king. And then we have the kingly model of David, and in today's lesson, we'll let it just speak for itself. But the feeding of the multitudes, feeding of the 5,000, it appears 6 times in the 4 Gospels. This was an essential story for the early community of the followers of Jesus. And as I read it again for the no telling how manyth time, the character that stood out to me this time was Philip, because I so identify with him. Because Philip shares what I call, shares with me, and I imagine some of you, what I call reasonable despair. Reasonable despair. The followers of Jesus, the disciples of Jesus, and those people who had gathered on the hillside that day to experience Jesus' ministry, all of them collectively were poor people. They were peasants. None of them had the resources to do what it would take to feed such a crowd. And so Philip, as they're gathering and realizing, wow, this group's hungry. And Philip, with his reasonable despair, says, Jesus, we can't take care of this. Now, Philip, here's a multitude, 5,000 people, let's say. That situation with that many people called up this reasonable despair. But you know what? Sometimes it only takes one person to call up reasonable despair. And so it was with me about 18 months ago here at the cathedral. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the receptionist leaves, our volunteer, leaves, and the place is locked up. Often we're here, and I was here by myself one day. I had 2 meetings back to back, one from 4 to 5, and one from 5 to 6. And so I was sticking around for that and making my way up to the narthex so I could let people in, when one of the lay leaders who was here for the meeting, who had the code on the keypad, had let herself in, and right in slipped behind her somebody that I knew was not coming to the meeting that we were having. I knew because of the way he was dressed. And as I got closer, those feelings were confirmed by the stench that I smelled. And so I was sure and certain that he was, of course, asking our lay leader for money. And so I approached and I said, "Hello, I'm Stephen. I'm the dean of the cathedral. What can I do to help you?" And he said, "My name is Carl, and I would like to talk to you." And I said, "Well, Carl, I would like to talk to you also, but I just cannot do it right now. I have meetings." I said, "I'm available around 6 o'clock today. If you come back, I will talk to you." I thought that was the right thing to do with this lay leader standing there, right? It was the right thing to do no matter what. So after my meetings, and I'd forgotten about Carl, after my meetings, sure enough, he was sitting out on the steps. Everybody cleared out. I invited him in. We sat down right out there in the narthex. And I said, "What can I do for you?" Now, Carl had a freshly stitched wound across his forehead. He had two very large black eyes. He had his hospital band still on his wrist. And he said, "I just want to talk." And he went into just telling me the story of his life, a story of total despair, and the incident that had happened to him recently. And as he shared it with me, and then he looked at me and he said, "See, you represent God. And I want you to tell me, I want to know what you think is going to happen with the rest of my life." I said, "Carl, I don't even know what's going to happen with the rest of my life. I cannot tell you what's going to happen with the rest of your life. I feel pretty sure that if you continue on the road you're on, it's going to be, no matter how long it is, it's going to be painful. But," I said, "I can tell you this. All I can tell you and give you is this. I promise you that you are loved. I promise you." I said, "Have you eaten?" He said, "No." We had some gift cards up at the front desk. I gave him a $10 McDonald's gift card. I said, "Get yourself something to eat," and he went on his way. Never saw him again. I have no idea what happened to him. We never know, do we, what happens next? I was, however, pretty sure that he wasn't going to wake up the next morning and go to a job. I was pretty sure that he was not going to leave there, go eat at McDonald's, and call the former wife and children that he had left so many years ago who wanted nothing to do with him. I was pretty sure he was going to drink. I was pretty sure he was going to have to figure out how to make it to some court dates that were coming up regarding the incident that he had been involved in. Did it make a difference? You know, the story, as it's told in the Bible, of the feeding of the multitudes, we never know what happened to all those people. We never know. But I'm pretty sure that it wasn't long before they were really hungry again. They were poor. I'm pretty sure it wasn't long before they started experiencing yet again, as they dispersed and went their separate ways, the fear and anxiety that came with their living. But maybe something did happen. Maybe they went away with a sense of hope, even amidst their despair. Hope that they would have taken away from being in a situation where God acted on their behalf and brought them some satisfaction, some peace. I think Carl maybe have gotten some satisfaction with his physical hunger from that gift card. I think Carl probably got satisfaction, the kind of satisfaction you and I and everybody hungers for, in that he was listened to and spoken with kindness, dignity, and respect. Maybe those multitude left thinking, if God acted on our behalf in this situation with meager resources, maybe in such an ordinary setting, perhaps I should start looking for how God is acting in my ordinary life with meager resources in other situations. We never really know. And so it's reasonable to ask ourselves, what's it worth? 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. A $10 McDonald's gift card. 40 minutes of listening deeply to a stranger in need. It just doesn't seem like much. But in the end, it may be everything. We never know. But the fact that you and I often don't know what comes next doesn't mean it didn't make a difference. And just that possibility can turn all reasonable despair into hope. Amen.